All right. So we're recording on Skype, and then that way,
I have
this
to
is
let
what's
you know
going
you
to
were being
YouTube.
recorded.
Oh yeah, this this call is being recorded or monitored. All right. So you tell me when to hit record. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Wait,
1,
hold
2.
on. Okay,
No.
go ahead.
1, 2, 3. Record.
All right. Hello. All right, it's working. All right,
There might be
ready?
a lot of background noise at my house tonight.
Same here. Same
Okay.
here. 1, 2, 3. Okay,
Oh, that
that's
was
how we
on.
line. Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I
I
do
felt
not.
like
Oh,
what?
I do not see you at all.
You don't?
No, like Ciara is not in the frame.
Oh, well, I
That's what I mean.
will. I will. Yeah, we'll get super close. We're gonna
Can you
kind of
just
look.
angle it towards you, Ciara? Because it's like perfectly framed on Dana right now.
Oh, oh, so it's like a
Do
little
you
bit.
not see something?
Huh?
Do you not see what I'm seeing?
I do. I just can't. I just get distracted by the. I don't know how to angle it. It's like straight on us.
Can you not
But
turn the phone?
I mean, if I do though, then it's like it's not. I can't turn it anymore without cutting Dana out. Then.
Oh, she's in the center of the frame for me.
Oh, but what I pulled it down so I could see the YouTube version.
Yeah, I have it in that too right now.
Oh, I have it as like she's on the left and I'm on the right.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't either. You can't see me at all
No, not at all.
right now? What if we
Correct.
flip sides? I don't know. I don't know.
Nope.
I see me. I say hello me.
I see when it's in the wide angle, but then
I
if
don't know.
I do like the YouTube version, now I see you. Whatever. We'll make it work.
Okay, sounds good. Um okay. So you want me to start and we'll go for it?
Yeah, I figured.
Okay. And if there's screaming children in the background, it just fits this episode. So there we have it. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the In Raw Life podcast. We are stoked you're here, and I am especially excited about today's episode because we have a special guest. And okay, I didn't expect to get emotional as I introduced her. Okay, so we've been talking about doing this episode for like basically since we started the podcast. And now we are 2 weeks away from leaving her, so my heart might break. That's why I'm getting emotional. But we have Arrow's teacher here. You know, if you are an avid podcast listener, I have spoken about her so much with high regard every time. I love her. Her name is Dana. And I usually am very cautious about not letting anybody know where my kids go to school just for privacy. But by the time this airs, we'll be gone. So she runs Indian Rocks Toddler Montessori in Largo, Florida. If you ever move to that area, get your kids in this school because it is the most incredible place that I have ever let Arrow step foot into. Like he's just thrived since he's been there. But we brought her here today so that she could give insight on how we can better the next generation. And I just want to welcome you. Thanks for joining us, Dana. I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
So okay, so tell us a little bit about you because I feel like you're a rare mom in the fact that you have a kid in like every age group right now. I mean, not every age group, but you have a kid that in 3 decades.
Correct.
So tell us introduce your life to us and as if I don't even know.
Okay. Well, I have 4 children. My oldest is 32 and he's married. And then I have a daughter who's 21 and I have twins that are 15 and I adopted my twins.
So, okay, for all of your children too, they each have their own separate journey of like how they came about. So,
Right.
like you have adoption and IVF and just a regular old normal go
Right.
at it. So,
Right. Right. No problems getting pregnant with my first son.
Mhm.
And then 10 years of infertility to have my daughter. And then, of course, yes, adoption for the
Yeah.
twins.
And then now you have like 16 children that are ages 2 to 5.
2 to 5, yes.
And so the reason that I really wanted Dana to be on the show is because so you're my mom, like you're just a little bit younger than my mom, and you come from like the generation of, I feel like our parents' generation doesn't always get it. Like they don't, us young moms, we're all like, oh, let's eat healthy and let's not do sugar and let's be cautious with the way we speak to our children. But I feel like, I don't know, would you disagree? Do you find that?
Yes and no, because my mom was a different type. I mean, she was new agey, so she was all about the healthy eating, which made me an outcast when I was younger because that wasn't the norm. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, not, yeah, I don't think she understood even just how you speak about yourself in front of your children, because then I kind of taught her that through Emmeline, because I learned that luckily either before Emmeline was born or when she was really, really young, so that I wouldn't even speak about myself how my mom used to speak about herself in front of me, so it wouldn't, because that affected me, how my inner voice is. So I'm hoping that what I'm doing is taking the right step for the next generation.
So would I feel so okay. So wait, you don't think that people
Well, my mom was just no, I think that generation could definitely be that way, but my mom was just it was just a different situation.
got it. So Dana, when you were raising Andrew is your oldest, when you were raising him, were you new agey and like different than the rest of the parents, or were you more of the like typical 90s mom feeding him Twinkies and lunch Lunchable?
I was probably the typical 90s mom.
Yeah.
Because Andrew, my oldest, and my daughter Abby, they laugh all the time and they said, poor Archie and Audrey, the twins, because you're such a health nut now. And we had Twinkies, Little Debbie's, and Cheetos. I'm like, oh, please tell me I didn't do that.
So what do you think has changed over the past like 30 years of baby raising?
I think, well, besides the fact that we're talking about nutrition and having that, I think today's parents have a lot more respect for their children, and they treat them with respect in everything they do, from what they give them to eat, how they listen to them and answer, in a kind way, because they're little human beings.
Yeah.
Not condescending or talking down to them. I feel like that's probably the biggest change.
So okay, so let's if we're just gonna dive into the rawness of it pretty quick, if you don't mind. So I know like with your own, as a child, you were not treated like a little tiny human always.
Correct.
Can you like share some of your story in that?
Well, basically, my generation, I mean, it was do as I say, not as I do, which is complete opposite of how I feel and how we are in Montessori. It's do as I do, be a role model. And I feel like parents should be more of a role model. I don't think it's right to tell your children to do this or not do this, and you're doing the complete opposite. I mean, there are adult things to do, and there are children, things that are naturally for an adult or maybe not for a child, but when it comes right down to respect and being a role model, I feel like, and listening to your children. I feel like today more parents are listening, and when I was a child, I could never give my opinion. I had an opinion, and it wasn't always disrespectful. It was, I have a brain, I have an opinion, I have feelings. They were all shut down. And I feel like that really crushes the spirit of a child. And when I look at the little ones in my classroom or my own children, it crushes me to see their spirit crushed. You just watch their little faces. If someone shuts them down, it's like, it's heartbreaking for me to see that.
So if you have a very opinionated kid who tends to like rule the house, how do you balance discipline with like still letting them be who they are and not crush their spirit?
I think that's it's easier for me in the classroom than in my own home, of course. In the classroom, I do have some children that they'll test me with what they have to say, and I simply tell them that's disrespectful.
Mhm.
And I mean, but then I'll give them the words to use if I, on how to say it in a more respectful way and in a kinder way, or I'll ask them questions like, why are you feeling this way? So, and I think that's the difference of today and maybe years ago. Children weren't asked,
Mhm.
how are you, why are you feeling this way? What's upsetting you? And then they'll tell you what's upsetting them. But then letting them know, like, okay, but you still cannot talk to, or you shouldn't talk to a teacher or a parent or an adult that way.
Mhm.
I think, and there's a fine line of letting them speak their opinion, but not crossing that line of being disrespectful.
So when it's in your own home, though, how does that differ?
In my own home, I mean, I'm pretty firm. I'm pretty firm with my children. And I mean, there are consequences. There are
Mhm.
consequences, whether they're 5 or 15.
Mhm.
And my 15-year-olds have phones and they're taken away quite often.
Yeah,
If they cross that line and they're disrespectful, I just put my hand out.
and they
Give me
know.
your phone.
I mean, I feel like it would be hard to be a kid because you're a stickler for it, but at the same time, like I always say, if I feel like if I was in Montessori school, that I would have more discipline, and so it's hard. I think it's hard to like get the discipline as a child, but then growing out of that, you are equipped. I think you're more equipped for the world because you have the discipline established from a young age.
Right.
Would you agree with
I
that?
agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. Yes.
Jessica went to Montessori school.
Oh, nice.
I went to Montessori preschool, but my brother also went to Montessori preschool, and I don't think that discipline necessarily was instilled in him.
Maybe he wasn't there
Like
long
in the
enough.
way of being a disciplined person. I think it
Yeah.
still comes down to personality. But I always say, and that's why I wanted Emlyn to go to Montessori school, is that even at a young age, I knew that it gave us a leg up on having a love for learning.
Mm.
So, and that was huge in itself.
Absolutely. I mean, all children love to learn, but it's learning each child's personality and how to get them to the step where you want them to be. And you don't want them to be frustrated. You want them to, but they all love to learn. I mean, that's just, I see each and every child, and every day is a challenge with certain children. But once they get to that point and you build their confidence and their self-esteem, letting them know they can do that work, they do beautiful work. But that's the whole thing about being a parent or a teacher, is letting your child or the children in the classroom know that you are confident in what they can do and build their confidence up.
Mhm.
I feel like that's very, very important.
Yeah,
And even go ahead, Jess.
I was like, I have an 8-year-old daughter who has been struggling with focus issues for about 2-3 years now. And figuring out that it's the confidence, figuring out, because she can be very confident sometimes, but figuring out, especially as she gets older, how to show her that she's capable and letting her be confident in it and not me projecting on her, and figuring out that balance, especially as they get older, because then it becomes a whole different ball game when they're not, toddlers or 4-year-olds anymore.
Well, that's true. But I also think just being positive and still, you can still build that confidence. And as her mother, I know that for me personally, I never say anything negative about myself ever in front of my children, because I'm teaching them confidence. So, I mean, even the slightest thing, nothing negative. I can think it, but I won't say it.
Yeah. Jess is huge on that. That's what.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. My mom, she used to speak negatively about herself, even like in like the slightest ways in front of me. So even when I was my daughter's age, I thought that I like had body issues almost. And so before Emlyn could even understand, it might have even been before she was born, I chose, I will never speak like that about myself. No matter what I think of myself, I will never speak like that in front of her. So now she walks around saying that we have big, beautiful butts. Instead of like me being like, oh my gosh.
That's funny.
So what is like some of the language that you use with kids? And I don't know, maybe it wouldn't apply to an 8-year-old, but I know you always say like, I knew you could do it. You don't say good job or you did like that's such good work. Like what can you talk about like why you use some of the language you use?
because, well, number one, we want them to do their work for themselves, not for us. They're not doing it for me. They're not doing it for their parents. They're doing it for them, for themselves. They're doing, so we want to let them know, if I say good girl or good boy, it's like patting them like, oh, good boy, good girl. And also they might do a work and they might think this really isn't that big of a deal. Like it's not a big work to them. And then they do this big work that they're very proud of. And I don't say good boy or good girl. They're looking at me like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
This is a big work and you didn't say anything. So, and it's labeling. It's like saying you're cute, you're pretty, we don't use words like that either. And that's difficult because
oh my God,
they're super cute. But we want them to have confidence and build character without thinking this is who I am. I'm a cute, they might think, okay, I'm a cute little girl, but I'm not very good at this work. And we don't want them to think that that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And it's the balance. I don't know if this is making sense.
No, it does.
It's the balance of it. So we say, like I have several children, older ones, my 4 and 5-year-olds, I can't do it. It's hard. And I'll say, I know you can do this. I know you can do this work. I'll help you. I'll get you started. And so when they start helping them, then I back up and say, just do the best you can. And then they'll come up and run across the classroom and say, Miss Turner, I did it. And just that right there. I mean, I get goosebumps every time because it's like, they're so proud of themselves and then I look, I'm like, you did it. I knew you could. And I didn't have to say good girl, good job, because, that's it. It's hard to describe, but it's just changing that wording that makes a difference in watching their smile, like letting know, yes, you did it. I knew you could. And they are like, yes, like it's just, watching again, the confidence in that child just going up.
We've talked too about, wait, go ahead, Jess.
That's the part that I missed the most about. Well, I worked at a preschool for 4 years. We had a lot of Montessori and other things like that infused into it. And watching the kids grow and learn and seeing their confidence build is like the best.
Yes, I agree.
I was going to say that with, so I talked to Dana a lot about how to raise my own babies because sometimes I'm just so frustrated. And even I think there was one time where I was trying to explain to Arrow why I didn't want him to do something. And I was like, well, it makes mommy upset when you do this, or it's not very nice to mommy. And even you said to switch it, so it's not even about me.
Right.
And so how, I don't remember exactly what your advice was at that point. So what would you say to redirect bad behavior in the same way of putting it back on them and their choices?
Well, usually I'll just come right out and ask them, is it okay to hit your friend? Is that okay to do? And I usually don't have to say much more than that, especially with an older child.
Hey, Dad. Sorry.
That's all right.
Making all these beep noises and I needed to stop. It's really terrible.
With his mouth?
No, with the phone.
Oh.
Jed, can you come close the door and stop making whatever that beep noise is, please? The beep noise. Are you doing talk to text?
We just did that
keeps showing up.
We did the newlywed game with me and Jay versus her and her boyfriend. And we kept the whole time we're just stop making that noise. Please stop making that noise. They're both drinking and they'd slam their glass and we're like, shush, shush.
I bet you he wishes so badly that this was happening before that episode so he could then rag on us with Jay. Hey, close the door, please. I love you.
We got enough of you last week.
All the way across the house. I was like, it's not that big of a house. Yes. Sorry. But that would have been awful.
Okay, so you were talking about redirecting the words with
You're talking about
you said it doesn't hurt is it okay to hit our friends?
Right. Or whatever the situation is, because if you say that makes me upset or I'm frustrated or I don't like it when you do that, that's what they want. They want to get a rise out of the adult. So we don't ever say that. It's it's never about me. They do not hear me say, I don't like that. I don't, it frustrates me. It makes me sad. Well, I will say it makes me sad. I do say that. Like, say I hurt a friend and I see it, like, oh, that makes me sad because we don't hurt our friends. And then they look at me and I'll say, is it okay to hurt your friends? No. And then I don't tell a child to say they're sorry either, because sometimes they're not. If you watch the situation, they learn it on their own. But I will say, do you have anything to say to your friend? And they all say it naturally. I'm sorry. And with a nice tone too. I'm sorry. Because it's putting it all on them and not on us. And it works. I mean, it just works. I see it every day for many, many years. It's just those little different ways of phrasing something, and that's just like if you ask a question or you want them to do something, or let's say they're playing at the snack table and they're throwing food. And I'm pretty direct with that. I'm like, we eat our food, and so period. Not we eat our food, okay? Because you just asked a question, and they will look at you and say,
No.
it's not okay. And they'll throw it again. But if you say food is for eating, or we eat our food, that's it. They just look at you like, okay. And like I said, not mean, just firm. Just firm and direct and to the point.
That is something that I still struggle with. And I love it because you always help me. Like, it's not in even a nagging way. Like, I feel like our relationship at this point is similar to a mother-daughter relationship, but I never feel like you're the nagging mother. Like, you said okay again, but it's always like it's like she always like lends this like, you said okay, and I'm like, oh right, thank you, because it's true. Because if I say, Arrow, go potty for me, okay, then it's like, no. She's like, don't say okay. I'm like, oh right, Arrow, go potty, and he's like, dang it, okay. Like, he has no choice.
Right, because you're asking him a question, and if you ask a child a question, in all fairness, they have the right to answer. It's like anything that, will you help your friend clean up that work? No. But I want you to help, whatever friend, and then they look at you and like, and I just look, or I say, help your friend. Okay.
Yeah.
I totally catch myself. Sometimes I will do the question thing with my daughter, and then I stop and I go, actually, no, you need to blah, 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 or it's time to blah, blah, blah.
Right. Exactly.
Which, and she, I mean, I admit to her, and I talked about this before on the podcast, I admit to her when I make mistakes, and I let her know, listen, I make mistakes too. You catch me making mistakes sometimes now because you're old enough to do that. So I feel like letting her see, oh, wait, mom made a mistake. She was about to do something and she corrected how she's talking. I feel like hopefully that's teaching her something good.
It definitely is. And the fact that you told her you are sorry. We are sorry. We make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Just the other day in the classroom, all the time. I had a child that was crying, and you said, Miss Turner, and I turned around and I said, what do you think that I said? And because he thought his mom was coming to pick him up after lunch, and he's a full day.
And I was there for that. Oh, it's so sad.
I misunderstood his question. Then I went over to him and I softly held his hands and I said, I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you asked me. And then I proceeded to tell him that mommy works all day. You'll get picked up later. He was so upset, but I'm not afraid to say I'm sorry. And especially with my own children in my home, I say I'm sorry all the time. I'll say something like, I'm sorry. Whether it's my tone or whatever. I'm tired. I shouldn't have said it like that, because they are learning. That's how they learn to say I'm sorry and mean it. My parents never said they were sorry to me.
I don't know if that really happened when I was a kid either. So, yeah.
I don't know.
Additional question that you were talking about.
I just really feel, children, whether they're 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, treat them with respect. Treat them like you want to be treated, and no other way. Don't talk down to them. Make clear. I mean, our children, your children, they're all very smart. They understand everything we're saying. So to not speak to them in an adult way, but where they understand, to me, it's disrespect. It's like not giving them the credit of understanding something when absolutely they understand.
Yeah, even the other day I was.
More than we think.
What did you say?
I said they understand way more than we think, so might as well speak to them like they do.
Yeah, the other day I was like, I can't get Gray to stop screaming. He's just screaming on repeat constantly. I'm totally failing him. He's mad at me. I don't know what to do. And she's like, just tell him to stop. And I'm like, what? He's one. And she's like, he knows what you're saying. Tell him to stop and give him a consequence. That night, it was over. The screaming had stopped. It had been going on for 48 hours. It stopped as soon as I explained to him why he needed to stop screaming. And it totally works because he's not dumb. He's one. He doesn't speak. I was gonna say he
communicates.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does. He's got something to say. But yeah. Okay, so can you talk about well, to preface, I guess I'll say there's, to be really, really raw and honest, there was one time that I was driving Arrow to school, and school is 5 minutes away. It's not a big drive. And I think I talked about this on the podcast before, but for those who didn't hear, it was one of my reality checks. Arrow threw a car at me as I was driving to school, and I was so upset about it, and I didn't know what to do to convey to him how dangerous it was to throw something at me while I'm driving. So I pulled over to the side of the road, and I grabbed his leg because he sits right behind me, and that's all I could reach, and I just squeezed it really tight, and I was like, you don't throw something at mama when she's driving. I don't remember. I was so fierce. I think I screamed it because I think my voice was hoarse that day because we recorded a podcast that day. And then a week or so, no, not even, I think it was like weeks later, Dana said to me that Arrow went to school and said that I hurt his leg. And I was mortified instantly because I'm like, oh my gosh, she thinks I'm a terrible person and a terrible mother. I am a terrible person and a terrible mother. But you didn't treat me like that at all. You gave me a lot of grace and said that we've all been there and that it happens. And so what is your approach, I guess, when your kids just drive you absolutely crazy? I mean, you're like, obviously you know how to handle kids in the classroom and you've been doing this for years, but like, are you still without fault when it comes to your own kids? And how do you deal with it if not?
No, I mean, I make mistakes, especially with teenagers.
Mm.
I make a lot of mistakes. But then again, and then I'll have a conversation, especially with my daughter. You know, we have a different relationship than I do with her twin brother, and we have some heated moments. And then I'll just tell her, like, we need to separate right now. We need to separate, and because I'm actually being someone that I don't like being. I'm like, you know, so, and I recognize that with myself. Definitely don't like what she's saying to me and how she's saying it.
Sure.
We separate. And then we will talk about it later when we've calmed down. But of course, I mean, I've caught myself saying things that I'm like, I can't believe I just said that to my daughter. But when it's rising and she's in my face and she's saying very disrespectful and hurtful things, and then she will come in and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You know, and I'm trying to let her know, I'm trying to teach her, we all say and do things that we don't mean, but we need to have better control over it, you know. And I said, including me. I go, you know, but it will happen again. She's 15.
Yeah.
It will happen again. But I don't really have the best advice for that other than we are all human and we're doing the best we can. And I think our children know that. I mean, we're loving moms and they know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of the best quotes out of our episode about the mother-daughter relationship was Ciara's mom said about her own mom, you know, she was doing the best that she could. Like, she had her faults, there was all these different things, but she was doing the best that she could. And I think that's the most beautiful thing that we can say about any other human is understand.
Right. And that also shows your children love, because when you get upset about something, you care about them. It's because you care about how they're acting or what they're doing. So it's still love. You know, we're so hard on ourselves, but it's the whole package. We can't, you know, just be these loving, calm. They wouldn't learn anything. I mean, does that make sense? I mean, we want to be loving and calm as often as we can, but we are not meant to be that way. Like, we have emotions, we have moods, we have
perfect facade, and that's all they think they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Do you have any insight, and maybe you don't at all, but I'm just thinking, like, I have a few friends and I never know what kind of, like, how to love or support them because I don't go through the same thing. But I have a few friends that have children with like behavioral disorders where they get mean. I was just thinking about like you fighting with your teenage daughter, which I mean, like I was mean as a teenage girl too, but so like I'm sure that's normal. But I do have some friends that it just seems like their kids are not the same as like every 3 and 4 year old, and they'll say hurtful, malicious things as like toddlers, and and I even have like I have other friends that have older kids who have had like a lifetime of dealing with these like anger issues or mood swings that are just not your typical kid kind of behavior. So do you have any insight or advice for parents who have kids that aren't like I don't want to say the word normal, but like that don't react the way that most kids do, and so they can't follow normal parenting advice or typical parenting advice, I guess.
I mean, that's really a difficult question to ask because I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer that question, because I think that's a step above like just I shouldn't say just, but being a mother or a teacher, because we have situations. I do think sometimes you need professional help, because it can just escalate, and as they get older, it can become a huge problem, and just for their relationship.
Yeah,
that's what would be my number one concern, is the relationship between the child and the parent when you have those kind of issues.
Yeah,
so I really don't have the best advice for
I mean,
that.
seeking professional help is great advice. I think.
I mean, that's my first, and there's so many different ways to help a child now with so many different therapies. And I think it's so important, because there are some children out there, they cannot control their actions or their words because of whatever the issues they have. And they need to be addressed and not ignored.
Yeah.
I think that in itself is solid advice. Okay, so there's another aspect of like being in a relationship with a child, which is that sometimes you just don't get along, like personalities clash. And I know you've seen parents and kids that don't always like blend perfectly together as personalities go. I know like Arrow and I have in his 4 short years, there's been moments where our personalities are just on opposite pages and we can't get along. So do you have I don't know, any insight on how to love your child when they represent maybe the other half that you once loved but don't anymore, or like when the personalities differ? What do you recommend?
I think that's difficult, because I do feel that my daughter Audrey and I, sometimes we are so different, and sometimes some of the things she says, I look at her like, did you just say that? Like, that's truly how you feel? And it is.
Yeah.
And I think completely opposite and feel different, differently about it. And it's very difficult, because I can say something, my opinion, and she takes it as a negative. She takes everything, and she'll say to me, you're so negative and you say, nothing I do is good enough. And I'm like, that's not true. So it's a very delicate situation.
Yeah.
Because I told her, just over, and it can be over anything. And she will say, just twist it around. She twists a lot of things around. And I'm like, listen to my words. This is what I said. This is what I meant. This is what I said. I didn't say what, is that making sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like, it is personality, it's her twin brother and I get along great. We get along great. And I'm not saying I don't get along with her, because I do. She's funny and she's sweet. But there are those moments where we don't. And I think it's very difficult, because I leave the conversation or the situation feeling, bad about myself, thinking, does she think I don't care about her? Does she think I don't love her? Because, she is different. Because she'll even stand up and say, well, we just think differently. And you're so different than me. And, or, we are. It's okay.
Yeah.
I still love you. I tell her that, but does she really feel it? And I worry about that. So I think it's difficult. Whether they're 4, 14, 24. I mean, there are, children and that never get along with their parents. I mean, I don't think that's ever going to happen with my daughter, because we do get along. We do get along. But there are moments where I do worry, like, am I giving off their own message because of the personality conflict? Am I coming across negative? I don't want to. So I think that's probably one of the most difficult situations.
Yeah.
As a parent, is that one right there.
Yeah.
Because out of 4 children, she's the only one that I feel I have these situations with.
Mhm.
Not often, but enough that it makes me feel bad about myself
Yeah.
as a mother. It's hard.
No. um, I feel like just even though I feel like the fact that you have four and you can see that that's not consistent speaks in and of itself because I mean we do if every person that we interact with, some people we get along so well with and other people it takes work. And I feel like that shows that if I mean it's not a reflection of your motherhood or who you are, it's just that you have different personalities and that's
Right.
I think that's so helpful to understand that with everything like every person we interact with we just have to some people we're just it's going to take a little bit more work but it doesn't mean we can't love them still or that it doesn't mean we love them any less like it's not a bad reflection of us it's just who we
In
are
the Enneagram book that I was reading, I think he had like 4 kids, and they didn't really get into the Enneagram until their kids were a little bit older.
Mhm.
But he was saying, each of their kids is a different number and different from them too, I think. And realizing that we have to have a different type of relationship or different rapport with each of them because that's how they think and work. And we obviously think and work differently than them too. And so understanding just like, I mean, that's why you and I love the Enneagram so much is because understanding, especially those closest to us, how they think and why those words are coming out of their mouth. It's like, oh, wait, this person, it's because that's straight up what they mean. This person, it's because they're like hiding a hurt or protecting themselves. So I think, especially, yeah, with any close relationship, especially our kids, because that might be the closest relationships we have, understanding them as much as we can really helps the relationship be stronger.
and still working on it like you're not going to give up just because she's
Yeah.
different than you which is so which I feel
Yeah.
like that's what a lot of parents do though they're like oh my she's a teenager and she's a brat and they like they label their kids instead of working on it and I mean I used to work with
And
the
kids,
youth of
and
my
I used to tell well, parents and kids, like sometimes kids give up on their parents too once they get old enough. But I
That's
mean,
true.
my mom and her mom didn't talk for I don't know how long until my mom passed. But I always told, because my mom and I conflicted a lot, even once I was an adult. But I always told her, Mom, I'm not ever going to stop talking to you. Like, I'm not, because I know that that's what she was afraid of. And that's what she was always like, she felt like her back was against a wall sometimes if we were fighting, and she felt like I was going to disappear from her life too. And I was like, I'm never going to do that. So that's off the table. Don't worry about it.
My mom had the same fear, like just not even because she had a falling out with her mom, but because Jennifer Aniston did. So my mom was
Ciara,
so afraid that I was going to leave her because
just
Jennifer Aniston
understand
didn't
where
talk to
she's
her mom.
coming from and how she thinks.
I love her. I love her in that. I told her I'm not going to stop talking to you. Although I think there was once a time that I'm like, whatever. That was not always nice. But yeah. Man, yeah, different personalities. You talked about wanting to have Audrey take the Enneagram. I remember one time.
I still do. Now I'm thinking even more so I should.
Oh,
I think I work harder at our relationship, and then that backfires with my other children. Like, oh, you do everything for Audrey, And I said, no, I don't.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I work harder in so many ways to show her I love you, no matter what your opinion is about anything. I love you. So that just from my other children's point of view, they say things, and well, they all think one of them's the favorite. So.
Yeah.
They all work. But yeah, seriously, the Enneagram, I mean, I took it from my daughter's perspective, which I can't fully do that because I'm not her, but just to try to get an understanding. And it came out to what Ciara thought might be the answer based on what she knows about Emmeline and I and how we know me talking about her. And so it's not that I'm putting that personality on her, but it helps me understand her because it seems to fit. So, and it's definitely helped me not hold back, but me be more understanding of her, because I can be a very straightforward, not harsh, but like I'll be straightforward with you, and I don't really, I'm not like, don't tiptoe around feelings usually
You're
with
blunt.
people closest to me. Yeah.
Mhm.
But she needs me to not be blunt with her, because she takes everything and holds it in, and she likes to hold the emotions in. She likes to sit with it, and I like to be like, "Hey, come hug me and let's talk it out and get over it." She doesn't want that. And so I finally asked her one day if that's like, "Do you need your space and you want me to wait until you come to me?" She said, "Yeah, that's what I want." And it works so much better when I actually listen and do that.
That is fascinating.
I like that.
Because that's so funny, because that's like what, so the Enneagram 4, that's what they want. They want to deal with their emotions on their own, and that,
Unique and having their own little like internal world of emotions, and it can change at any moment.
and so then I'm the Enneagram 7, and they compare those two a lot, but the different, like, because they both have this like interesting approach to pain, but mine was the opposite, where I wanted my mom to come to me, because the 7 doesn't want to deal with their pain, whereas the 4 wants to deal with it. And so I was always mad if my mom didn't come. And even Jay, sometimes I'll come in this room and I'm like, he has 5 minutes to get in here. I need some emotional support, and he better read it through the wall that he's
Yeah.
gotta get in
Yeah, just like I need it, because I need to know that this person's not going to stop loving me, because I
Yeah.
need to feel like I need to feel loved. And like with my boyfriend, he, like once I understood that, oh, he's okay with me giving it to him straight and not tiptoeing around the issue, because I would tiptoe around things with him. He's fine with me just giving it to him straight. And that has made our communication so much better, and like way, like way less fights.
Yeah, I'll send you the test again. You can make her take it.
Okay, yes, please do. I will. So, or have her take the test.
But then you'll see
Oh,
it everywhere.
what'd you say? But then you
You'll
see
start
it
seeing like all the different people, and what, like, oh, this is why this makes so much more sense now.
But I think it's good, because it helps you be compassionate towards people.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
not that you need more compassion, because you've got plenty, but it just helps you have an understanding of why people work the way they do. I have so many thoughts that I don't want to say on the air. I'll tell you later. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh, well, let's go to, okay, so we ask all of our guests if they're willing to share the whatever the rawest moment is that you're willing to share. And it can be about children, it can be not about children at all, it can be absolutely anything. It's just to show that, like, yes, you're a professional at this and you've got it all together, which we've kind of talked about already, but like that there are, you still have raw moments, and that life can get hard, and it's something that we all deal with, but we're not alone in dealing with that.
I don't know why I'm so caught off guard, because I had like 10 things in my head. And now
I said, pick whichever one comes to your mind, and now
there. I'm drawing a blank, an absolute blank. And I can just say, while I'm thinking about that, which I want, is anything and everything that's happened in my life, I feel like it's made me a much stronger person. I'm very positive. I don't dwell on it. I just don't dwell on it. I mean, I would say that the moment I became a single mother, in about 12 hours, when my world was turned upside down, and I became a single mother of 4 children, that was probably the worst moment of my life. And I just woke up, and I just knew, I can do this. I can do this. I can do what I need to do. And I don't know if this is like making sense of what I'm trying to get to, like where I am now. If you would have asked me 13 years ago, would I have thought, that I'd be running a Montessori school and everything that I'm doing, I would say no.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I had the confidence then, even though I, knew that I loved what I did. I love what I do. I loved what I did when I was working at other schools. But I made it happen because I wanted to do it for myself and for my children. And I took what happened to me that was a nightmare, and I turned it around. I did it mostly, for myself, of course, but for my children, to show them things happen. and we're okay.
Mhm.
We're more than okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
but
No, absolutely.
that was, yeah, I mean, just that period right there, those, when I say 12 hours, it was 12 hours.
Wow.
Like, I was feeding my 1-year-old twins in high chairs,
Mhm.
and my life got changed like overnight.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was devastated. And it was just, that will never leave me. That will never leave me. But the person I am today, if that didn't happen,
Mhm.
I mean, I've always been this compassionate, loving, what I do, teaching, being a mother. I've always loved that. But it's made me stronger in so many different ways. And I
Mhm.
feel like it's made me a better friend, a better everything, a better
Yeah.
person every day. Just because I can hear other people's stories and be much more compassionate about them, no matter whether they're this big or, no matter how big they are, because we all go through different things and everybody handles things in a different way.
Mhm.
I know I'm strong. I think a lot of friends, if they went through what I went through, they might not have handled it the same way, because I have friends like, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. You just do it.
Yeah.
I have these children that are looking at me now, just me, to help raise them and support them, and I did it. Can't sit back and go, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
I'll just sit here on the couch and let them figure it out.
I feel having kids totally helps us be the strongest versions of ourselves, because we don't have another choice, really. So we pull ourselves up and we do what has to get done. I always turn to Emlyn after like some crazy thing that we've gone through, whatever it is. I'm like, we did that, now we can get through anything. And then the next thing happens, then I say it again.
Yeah.
I will have to say that this last Mother's Day, my twins wrote, I'm probably gonna cry on this one, wrote in a card, and I am gonna cry. And they gave me the best compliment. They said, Mom, you work so hard and you never complain.
Oh.
And I thought that right there was the best mother's gift ever, because I try not to complain to my children. They don't need to hear it. They don't need to hear anything negative whatsoever. And I don't want them to feel like, oh, Mom's tired, she can't do this, Mom's this, or, and so when they wrote other things, and it was super sweet. And it just meant the world to me, because, again, they're 15. And sometimes I think, oh, I'm doing the best I can, but, it's not perfect. I'm like, no, we're okay. We're okay. It was, and like I said, like you said, we just all have to do the best we can. But every day I try to be better. I try to be better every day. Be a better mother, be a better friend, be a better teacher, and I tell myself that every day. I don't ever want to stop that. I don't want to ever sit back and think, I've got this.
Yeah.
Because I don't. No one does.
Oh, maybe when you're 99, you'll be like, yes, did it.
Okay, I did it perfectly.
It's not getting any better than this at 99.
Oh man. Well, to switch notes, do you have a lightning round?
I do have a lightning round.
Okay, perfect. So to pick it up after such a raw moment, well, thank you first of all for sharing, because I know that's not easy. But so we'll turn it around back to fun stuff. Jessica has a lightning round, but it's just nothing scary or intimidating. You just say whatever comes to your mind as soon as she asks the question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is your favorite children's book?
Ooh.
Oh, my favorite children's book. Are You My Mother?
Oh, so good.
That is a good one. I remember reading that to baby Emmy. What is your favorite weekend activity?
You can say day drinking. It's totally fine.
It would be up there. Actually, I honestly love Saturdays, because that is the day that I spend with my children. Like, that's when we just run our errands and maybe go out to lunch, and it's Stress-free day. I love Saturdays with my twins.
Hmm.
So
Now, mind
cute.
you, errands for her is getting her nails done.
That's true. And they
Hey,
give me a
I
hard
mean,
time.
if it's an errand, it's an errand. She works
It's
hard with
errand.
kids. You wash your
She
hands
does.
a lot.
She says that if she doesn't have her toes done, the kids point it out. So it really is.
Oh, I know. I believe you. Because I remember you would walk into the classroom with lipstick on for once, and they're like, "What happened to your lips?" Or "Oh, lips." Um. Ooh, what is your favorite thing to do when you're alone?
When I'm alone.
I
Probably
don't.
watch movies. I'm a movie person because I
Mhm,
feel totally relaxed. So I like a really good movie.
I love that. I'm a movie person too. And then these last two questions we love asking all of our guests. So the first one is, we are huge small business supporters. So what is your favorite small business?
My favorite small business is probably the coffee mill that's right next to my school.
I love it. I love it. I had a feeling that was going to be yours. Most of our guests pick their local coffee
A
shop because there's
cafe
just
or
something so warm and welcoming about it. So I love that.
I mean, it's 2 doors down. I walk there on my break. And
Hello.
Oh, hello, Gray. You
Oh,
get
did he just get
It's
dropped
so
off?
inviting. It's like a little country town coffee shop. You walk in there like, oh, how are you doing today?
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, I'm surrounded by cute little coffee shops, so I can't pick just one, but I love them all equally. And then the last question is, what is your favorite thing about you?
My favorite thing about me, my energy. I have a lot of energy.
We need it.
Oh man, that's so lucky. I feel like I do not have that energy.
I've never had an energy drink ever. I think I'm almost afraid to drink one because I don't know what it would do to me.
Where'd
Yeah,
you get it from?
it used to affect me big time.
Oh my gosh. What are you drinking? Did you say?
No, I'm drinking water. I said coffee used to affect me big time.
Oh, gotcha.
A normal part of my day.
Mm.
What does Gray have to say?
Grace says, thanks for letting me join, guys. You're talking about me, so I have to be here. Huh? Well, that is it. That was the long and short of it. Thank you so much for joining us. Great.
Thank you.
Are you gonna do the close? Say bye, everybody. But okay. Okay, go. Wait. Sorry. You gonna sit right there? Yeah, you read the book. That's good. We're just gonna finish up, okay? You read. But sincerely, thank you so much. And sincerely to anybody listening, if you are in the Pinellas County area, check out Indian Rocks Toddler Montessori because your children's lives will be changed by it. And if you have an hour to spend when you pick them up, your life will be changed by it as well. I hope before we became even close, I would go and just like hang out with Dana and ask all the questions and soak up every word. Because I'm like, what do I do here? And what do I do? Because I mean, your experience with your own children plus all the kids that you have every day. I love how in your raw moment you talked about that, like your story has helped you, Gray, has helped you be more compassionate, and that totally shows, like with the kids and with the parents. Like it's just nice to be able to be like, this is our junk. Here we show up every day. You see us in our messy moments and in our pretty dolled up moments, but you don't change your way of looking at it.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And thanks for always coming back and listening all the way to the end. If you loved this episode, go ahead and give it a 5-star rating because we would really appreciate it. And the podcasting platforms will then know how important this message is. Gray agrees. Yes, honey. Oh.
He knows that I'm over here and you haven't shown him to me yet.
I know. He says hello. He's waving to you. You just can't see him because he's down low. And while you're giving that rating, go ahead and subscribe, because once again, every rate, every review, every subscription to the podcast tells the platforms to share what we're doing, spreads the word about our podcast, and we really appreciate it. And to spread it even further, you can take a screenshot of you can take a screenshot. I know. You can take a screenshot of the episode, or even hit the share button from Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you can share it over on Instagram. Tag us at inrawlife.co, and we'll share you sharing us as a special thank you for how kind you are to supporting the growth of the podcast.
You can also be a part of an episode by sending a clip of yourself saying strength to me means or being strong means, and then you get to fill in the blank with your unique opinion. And you can send that to podcast@inrawlife. Until next week, we hope that you picked up a few tidbits and golden nuggets from our conversation with Dana, whether you are a parent yet or not, or ever will be, or ever deal with children or other human beings. We hope that you treat them with kindness and respect, like we talked about. And, I don't have one.
She always ends with like something exciting about some sort of like funny riff on something that happened in the episode, but
it's all like, it's too late for this.
It's too late.
What did we talk about?
And if you find yourself dragging, don't grab an energy drink, just grab an energetic person.
You close it out, Ciara.
All right, there. We'll just use that one.
Look at you.
What?
Bye-bye.
All right.
So that's great. Get Gray to say bye-bye. Ciara? Hello?
Can you hear me? Oh, did that mess it up? I can still hear her. That was weird.
I said you should have Gray say goodbye.
Oh, say bye. Bye. Can you say bye? Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, here, let me
I'm gonna stop YouTube. Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube. Wait, hold on. Let me